Good morning, Hiren sir, and welcome to Design Dialogues hosted by Rethinking the Future in collaboration with Fublis. This is your host, Bhavya, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Hiren Gandhi, the visionary founder and principal architect of Hiren A. Gandhi and Associates. Just to give a brief introduction about the studio, Hiren A. Gandhi and Associates, established in 1977, is a leading architecture firm specializing in innovative and sustainable design solutions across architecture, urban design, interior design, and engineering. With over 1,500 projects, including work for top organizations like RBI and Gujarat State Petroleum, the firm is known for its energy efficient, eco friendly design tailored to the client's needs. Led by Hiren A. Gandhi, an alumni of SEPT Ahmedabad, the firm combines creativity with functionality in every project. Thank you for joining us, sir, today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So, before starting the questions, I would like to inform you that this interview will be published on the website of Fublis. So, sign up on the Fublis website and you will get the access to watch this interview. So, shall we proceed with the questions?
Yeah, sure.
Question for the day. What are some of the most challenging client requirements your studio, Hiren Gandhi and Associates, encountered, and how did you ensure the final design was both practical and aligned with your architectural vision?
Yeah, see, every architectural project that we do, or for that matter, any architect does, is always a challenge in the sense that if you really want to do a justice to that project, you have to take it up as a challenge, how to do your best, how to put forward your best. But particularly since you asked what I found challenging in terms of, some of the designs, I can point out a few examples. We have done this office building, head office of NABARD. NABARD, as you know, is a national institution. And they had got a plot from Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, which was of a very odd shape. It was at the junction of two roads, and the junction was curved. And then apart from that, at the back side, again, it had lot of angles and other things. So it was a very odd kind of site. And obviously, since they had taken the plot, they wanted a maximum utility of the plot. And at that time, I'm talking about 25 years back in Ahmedabad, there was a restriction of about 30 meters height for all the buildings. That was a restriction from the fire department. So, and also the bylaws. So, therefore, it was a challenge how to utilize this, how to set up the building in this odd shaped plot, and also how to achieve a meaningful and interesting form, which I'll be. The point was that this building was also facing a garden on one side, which is known as the Usmanpura Garden. So we wanted also some terraces and other things which are facing toward the garden actually. And the building was created with a step back and then a kind of a cantilever kind of form. So a very interesting form is achieved in spite of all these limitations. In spite of the height, a good number of floors have been achieved, height limitation. And also, eventually, the form of the building is very interesting because the ground floor is set back, then the first floor comes out, then the second floor again comes out. And at the second floor level, there is a terrace which overlooks where the DGM's office is there, which overlooks the Usmanpura Garden. And then the whole building is set back. And at the last floor, which is the eighth floor, again the building is coming out. So, such a situation to achieve and NABARD is a very conscious client. And I was a young practice I'm talking of 25 years back. So there were many other architects, but our firm was very appealing and we got the project actually. So this is one example I can tell you. Second example also I can tell that we did the office building for Hindustan Petroleum Corporation office and their residential building. Again, this plot was given on a lease by to HPCL from Municipal Corporation, and it was next to the fire station. And the plot was such that it became extremely narrow in the front and very wide at the back. And usually what happens, and only one side approach. And usually what happens is when there is only one side approach and you want to mix both office and residential, it becomes a little tricky thing, because resident people who are staying, they want their privacy, because in the office, outsiders will be also coming. So it was a challenge. So what we adopted was a kind of a podium and a tower concept, where up to ground plus one floor, it is an office front portion. Then there is a terrace garden. And at the second floor, from where the residential starts, opening onto this terrace garden is a community hall. I mean, there are common facilities, and then the tower. So what happens is that way there is a segregation, and the building, because the plot was very narrow and wider at the end, building is kind of in a step profile, and that creates interesting pattern of shadow and light. So this is how this and of course one had to achieve, because all these land parcels are costly, and these institutions, they want full utility of the plot. So of course the achieving of the FSI, and and still creating a good building form. And meanwhile, both these buildings, they were before the 2001 earthquake, and for both of these buildings, they really called me after the earthquake, and then they said that you have designed it so nicely that we feel safe within the building. And as far as NABARD is concerned, we have provided, apart from the normal staircase, there's a fire staircase which has become like an architectural feature. So every floor opens out onto this fire staircase which is outside. So they were telling that we feel very safe with this staircase which is there outside. And in fact, that staircase is also like an architectural feature. So, this is how you turn, necessity into a good building architectural form. And the third thing which comes to my mind is a recent housing project. It was a low income group housing project for Gandhinagar Urban Development Authority, about 1200 flats. And again, this plot was a triangular plot. So, and obviously in a LIG, now the entire approach of the government is to, earlier days there used to be always balance FSI in such projects, but now land is such a costly commodity that every organization that comes up, they want to utilize the full FSI to the available extent. So there also, within this triangular plot, it was a great challenge how to accommodate these blocks and how to still achieve an interesting building composition and have open spaces, which are good interaction spaces. Particularly, as you know, in Gujarat, Garbas are very famous during Navratri, so they should be able to hold that such functions. And then we have also provided double height pockets at which was actually requirement from the fire department, but these open spaces also become, these refuge areas. They also become, instead of just providing the bare minimum of refuge areas, are made enlarged, big size, and there social interaction takes place, because, many times the elderly people, they don't want to come down all the time. So at the mid levels, you have these double height pockets. So these three things, it comes immediately to my mind, because normally, the challenges are two types. One is, first you have the challenge of the plot itself. Second is if the requirement is more, and requirement is again complex. You see, another building which we have done for Gujarat State Fertilizer Corporation, they wanted the office, they also wanted the guest house, and they also wanted certain other offices within their premises use which they can rent out. So, their approach, then within this plot of 3,200 square meter, we have to create one entry for the main organization, one side entry for the other offices which they will rent out, and third entry which directly goes to the guest house, because guest house, people, that was on the top floor. So, these are the challenges which we face, but challenges are of course of many types. Challenges could be in terms of the plot size, challenges could be in the form of the budget, challenges could be also in terms of the client requirements, you know. And so, I mean, this is what I can immediately say. Otherwise, there are, of course, many challenges. That challenges are always coming, you know. Yeah, please. Maybe we can go to the next question. Yeah.
How do you approach balancing design constraints such as budget and site limitations while still achieving impactful and innovative outcomes?
Yeah, see, partially I've already answered this question in my first question itself. That what is the architect's job, right? The architect's job is that the client comes up with a plot, which, many organizations, they get it. I'm talking of organizations, I'm even corporates, even individual client to get a plot it itself is a very big task, like within the city area. The plots are costly. Sometimes there are limitations, and mostly whenever these public authorities are giving out the plots, they are many times, or government gets a plot, they are many times odd shaped plots, or the plots are within a khadda. These are the kharaba areas. So these are various challenges as far as this thing is concerned. Second thing, which is the budget, like this low cost income housing. When you do it, budget is a very, very important aspect. And now, what happens is that the codes have changed after the 2001 earthquake and everything. I mean, we did even all these things before for ISRO project, which I had done. Even before the earthquake, they had all these ductility and other so many things in place. So I mean, I can say proudly that nothing happened to any of my buildings in 2001 earthquake. So, and we have buildings all over Gujarat. So basically, other thing is the cost constraint, right? But within the cost constraint, like say, for example, I told you that we created these double height pockets, you know, and that has really helped. That has really given a character to that building. That has also given people are happy using that space. So it's not necessary always that, budget means you just make a dabba. Budget means you just don't make a rectangle box. You can still play and you can still do your designing without adding extra cost. So that is what is important. And that all depends on, when you set out your goal. When you start drawing your first line from the drawing board, you should know that, yes, this is what I want to achieve. And if you set out to achieve that, you will achieve it.
Sustainability is an integral part of your work. What are some of the specific eco-friendly approaches and material you commonly use in your projects, and how does client respond to them?
Yeah. Now, the sustainability starts from the first line that you draw on the drawing board. Okay. So, therefore, uh, all these, so much of building certification, rating, all these came later on. But I mean, I started my practice in 1977. So at that time, all these words were not there. But as a part of our education from SEPT, Ahmedabad, we've already always learned that the first thing is that how you orient, how you locate your building within the site, and how you place your building in terms of, the climatic zone you are building in. What is the sun exposure? What is the wind direction? You know, how do you locate the building in such a way that it disturbs the least amount of existing features, existing trees, any existing contours, right? So what is important is that the sustainability starts first with your design in terms of the orientation of the building, in terms of location of the building, in terms of the features that you create within the building. Like, if you want windows, let us have done many buildings like Gujarat Gas have done so many buildings where we have avoided completely the west side exposure. And even if the client wanted glass, we have provided it only on the north side and not on the west and the south side, which gets heated up like anything. So these things, and even if you want to have windows, you create it, or you want to have openings, you create it in such a way that you create a courtyard. So there is not a direct exposure to the south and the west side, and you get it indirect through these kinds of pockets that you get within the building. So first thing is all these, and Actually, this sustainability is already ingrained in our traditional Indian architecture. We always had verandas, we always had the courtyards, all these things. So there was our ancestors or our elders were wise enough to build it according to our climatic condition. And only thing what had happened was that in this mad rush for new and modernity and other things, we had forgotten all this. So first thing is, if you are conscious the way you should build, sustainability all automatically gets integrated into your building with all these passive features, which we call as the passive feature. Second thing comes is that the choice of materials that you use, which is very, very, very important. Wherever possible, I always do it that way, that wherever possible, there is a load bearing construction which is possible. We always do it with the load bearing. And this thing I have seen in our School of Architecture, Ahmedabad, that the entire basement, the entire span of the about 10, 11 meters is only on the two load bearing walls. So whatever, even I've done one hotel project in which the banquet hall is completely in Gandhinagar, in which the banquet hall is completely onto the two exposed brick walls, and which are thick walls, which is because, see, this is a very false notion that notion has come later on. We reduced our 35 centimeter wall to 23 centimeter, and then when we went on to reducing it to 115 centimeters, 115 mm, 11.5 centimeters, which is partition wall. Now these they simply become heat boxes. So that is a kind of madness for getting, more carpet area, but you are doing it at a great cost. The air conditioning bills will always increase, and many of the complexes, they are not having such constraint that you cannot have a thick wall actually. So therefore, the choice of the material, where there is no RCC requirement, we should not construct with RCC columns. If it can be done, I am doing a crematorium recently for Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, which is completely with the exposed brickwork, cellular exposed brickwork. And they were insisting that no, we go for the columns, but I said no, for a single storied or ground plus one story, you don't require columns actually. You can have easily thick walls. So that is one thing, which is the choice of the material. Second is, of course, in terms of, these materials which are having, which are not very high, this thing in terms of, like, for example, aluminum or other things. So, and we have lot of good things like this grit plaster, which is with the stone chips. It also serves as a good insulation. We have China mosaic, which we have been always doing. We always put the reverse mud pots on the rooftop, and we are able to get a good insulation waterproofing you do on top of it. I always do at lot of places. We have done filler slab, which Laurie Baker had done it, pioneering work. So basically, it is also then the choice of material. Second thing, we have used a lot of places fly ash bricks. I have constructed a lot of houses even with the fly ash bricks, which gives a beautiful aesthetic, actually. I did one house, and then that another client came that I want exactly like this only with the flash brick, because he liked it so much. And we constructed arches with it. A high-end hotel also we have done with flash and this exposed brick combination. So, we have used bamboo also, bamboo ceilings. So these things, there are enough amount of materials which are available in India, you know, and in fact that way it promotes also traditional craftsmanship and traditional craftsmen because they also get employed, right? Similarly, floor terrazos are very good instead of all these vitrified tiles which we are using, you know, which madly people use it. Even very glossy finish people are using where people slip sometimes. So all these things, uh, fortunately in India, we have, and in fact, abroad such things are very appreciated and they consider this rare. But we have forgotten, we start using all modern materials too much. So that is what is important. That second thing is that you use the palette of eco and friendly materials, which are already so many things are available. You just need to, uh, look at around you. That's it. Okay.
But as per your answers, I can sense that you have a lot of experience with a variety of projects. So it's very difficult to ask just 10 questions about it. But I'm going to go ahead and ask another question. So, with an experience across a broad spectrum of project types and budgets, how do you adapt your design approach to meet the diverse needs of different clients and users?
Yeah. See, so what happens, any architect who is practicing, what kind of clients you will get, let us say. Either you get individuals, who come with you for a bungalow or something, his own office or things like that. Or you have corporates, which are organizations. Or you have, because now India is fast developing, a lot of infrastructure projects are coming. And everywhere architect's role is there, you know. So even in the uh, flyovers and other things, because all these residual spaces also people want to use it below the flyover, like that. So architect's role or an urban designer role in today's context is tremendous, and you get a variety of client, right? Now, what happens is that there are, as I said, there are three types of clients, right? When you have an individual client, he now, because people have tremendous amount of exposure. If a person is educated, he searches through net, internet. He has already formed certain ideas and he comes with you, you know. But sometimes what happens, he has false ideas. Sometimes people come to build in Ahmedabad and they may give you some example of some villa in Alps, let us say, or some very cold climate. So you have to make the client educate that, well, this you may like it, but this is not appropriate for our region, for our climate. Okay. So one thing is that when there is an individual, he is the end user. So what happens that if he comes with an open mind, see, you may get a client who comes with a very closed mind, right? And sometimes it does happen that some architects they leave some commissions or some projects because you cannot gel with the client. Okay, because that could be, but that is the architect's job is also to convince the person what is right for him. And if a person is educated, he understands, he has come with some respect for you, then he will eventually understand that this is in my interest only that I do such a thing. Okay, so that is one type. Second is the corporate. Now, now in corporate, what happens is there is a big range of management guys, right? As you know, all MBAs and so many managers and so many cadre. Now, they may be reporting to their bosses, right? Eventually, the boss may decide, but these people also have a lot of say. And corporates, and particularly, I tell you, I've done some hotel, I deal with this Holiday Inn Express actually. So they were very clear about their per room budget, very, very clear that this is how our budget should be and it should not exceed. This is how they used to tell me that this is like a room factory. You create maximum number of rooms because we want to give economical rooms to the people. So that is another type of organization where they come with certain fixed ideas, but they also want their image. Because when a corporate builds, supposing you are doing a house for a corporate organization, they also want that image, and they also want to kind of say that, look, these are the measures which we have taken. We have made building more sustainable. We have made carbon zero, like this. So that is another type of client. And third is the government. Now, government or this, where actually speaking, the decision makers are many times not the end users, or the decision makers may get changed. Today, one commissioner is there, tomorrow, another commissioner will be there, another IS officer will be there, or if they are doing a housing, let us say for employee, it may be they are not the end user. They are, deciding for somebody else. So at that time, it becomes a different kind of a situation, that it is not the people who are going to be the actual end user really, but they are deciding for somebody, they are representing somebody, like that. And then, of course, sometimes at the highest level, these designs are presented, like for this Shyamji Krishna Verma Memorial, I had to present it in front of, at that time, the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Bhai Modi, and now our Prime Minister. So, and the IAS officer had said that he will decide who will do this work or whose design he has liked, right? So, so it is also like that, but because it was his dream project. So basically what happens is that this kind of design, and another thing, see, architect has to be, it should fit into the shoe which is as per the requirement. Today you may be doing a low cost housing project, tomorrow you may be doing a 7-star hotel. So, it's like this, that you have to really, and perhaps some of the things which I wanted to answer later will come automatically in this, that, I always cite the examples to the young architect, that how Arjuna only see the eye of the bird. He knew what is to be hit. So similarly, आपके पास में बहुत बड़ा palette है. So many things are given to you, in terms of requirement. I did some high-tech scientific building. So many things are given, but you have to pick what is the essence, what is the most important aspect. And then you revolve your design around it. Then you will be, because client may give you all the information at one time, but you have to know what you have to pick up and on what your design should revolve, actually. I hope I have answered you. Okay.
Yes, sir. So moving on, over the years, how have different situations or challenges shaped your approach towards architecture and your ability to create different projects creatively?
Yeah. See, this is also very important, that as an architect, what are you interested in ultimately, right? Because your end objective is that the project should get built, right? You may fight with the client, and then supposing nothing gets built, you have a difference of opinion, you fight with the client and you walk out of the project. It's the worst scenario, right? But you don't want that situation, right? Nobody would want it, because you are there to build something. Now, what is important is that you are continuously facing different types of situations. You are continuously facing the egos of the people, because people who come to you, they have money, they have acquired the plot, they have certain social status, you know and many times when you deal with government officials, they sometimes feel that they know everything, you know also like that. So in these type of situations, you have to find your way through. How do you find that? You slowly convince the people.
Another question. When working on different variety of different scales of project, from affordable housing to luxurious residence, what key factors do you consider creating meaningful spaces that cater to each user's need?
Yeah. So see, when you talk of, first let's talk of affordable housing. See, ultimately, whether it is affordable housing or whether it is a villa or whether it is a luxurious residence, right? It is for people to stay. It is for people to comfortably use it, and to satisfy the basic primary human needs, right? That is a shelter from the climate, that is a certain amount of privacy, places for social interaction, because then only that living space becomes meaningful, apart from serving its functionality. So therefore, even if you want to talk about the affordable housing, right, uh, where the budget and and now government also has made certain norms in terms of certain minimum carpet area, which is uh, 28 square meters at times carpet area. But that I have always said as an urban planner that you cannot have the similar criteria of minimum space for a city like Ahmedabad and a city like Mumbai. Because, in Mumbai, as you know, in 100 square feet, how many people stay even one room, right? So the criteria, it differs from place to place. However, keeping that argument aside, whenever you are doing an affordable housing, see, there are two things. One is that the space which you have within your housing unit. And actually, basically, if you see, uh, unfortunately, what has happened is that because housing is my favorite subject and I teach also housing, what has happened is that we think that, if you have just provided four walls to the people, then you have provided them kitchen, bathroom, WC, living and one bedroom. I mean, that's fine, person will be happy, which is such a wrong conception. Because if you really study our, where poor people stay, right? There are always these threshold spaces. They always have an outside extension. Many times, actually, most of the time they are spending outside their house. They even put a cot outside if you um, go to any of these bastis or like that, right? Because what is important for them is social interaction with the other neighbors is very important, which unfortunately in these towers that we are building, you know, gets lacking. And that's why these kind of social spaces are very, very important whenever we do modern housing. So that is one part. Second is, of course, light and ventilation, which mostly uh, becomes, which is the real problem. Because actually, all these bastis are affordable, where people stay, the slums, right? Is what is the most lacking part? The most lacking part is that over a years, these slums have become more and more congested, and everything has got built on the ground. So the passages have reduced, ventilation is less. They are very, very close nearby, and there is a lack of proper sanitation, plumbing, all these things, right? So that is another aspect which shows that at least you give them good air, light, ventilation. Again, if you build something that instead of he just looks at you build the two buildings so close that that fellow is only looking into other person's window, then the whole purpose is defeated. So therefore, affordable housing, when you do, these are all these very important aspects which you have to keep in mind, and how you achieve as an architect is really the challenge. That how do you create where people are really happy. Otherwise, there have been many instances where whatever government has built, people have not occupied. Or after occupying, they've gone back to their original places. So that is what you have to consider as far as the affordable housing is concerned. And mind well, affordable now, the word affordable has been expanded. And now they've even calling 80 square meter flat, which is an affordable. See, affordable is something which is a very, very generic term. What may be affordable for you may not be affordable for me or X or Y person. So what is affordable is we have to really, actually affordability should be always linked to what is the economic level of that person, what is his annual income, and how much percentage he can give of that income for rent or for giving, installment of the housing. So affordable is something which is a very, very kind of a relative term. Somebody may be able to afford crores, and somebody may be able to even maybe 2 lakhs will be difficult for him. So that's a very this thing. Now coming back to the luxurious residences, right? Now what happens is that uh, see, many times what happens is that you get clients who are, one is you get one lot which is very clear what they want in terms of their physical requirement. Another lot is that they have money and they have big size plot, so they just want to build extra. that also is possible. So therefore, and then there is a third law, which also agrees with you that if there is a big plot, and we have done one recently, one villa, in which we have incorporated, it is a 4 courtyard villa, So there are landscapes within the house itself, and you get these, there are passages which go through this courtyard and it gets linked. So that is another way of doing it. And see, even luxury is a very relative term, as you will appreciate. What may be luxurious for me may not be luxurious for you. What is your definition of luxury is different. Somebody may say that if I have all golden plated faucets, it is a luxury. And somebody may even say that even if good, quality fittings are there, it's a luxury. So it is not it's a very, again, luxury is also a very relative kind of term. Okay. So, but ultimately what happens is architect's job is to create meaningful spaces, because whatever, whether you are doing affordable housing or whether you are doing now in luxurious this thing, what may happen is that there also, again, it is very important what kind of garden you have, what kind of landscape you have, what kind of common facilities you have. So because human nature is the same, right? So therefore what is important is, but you architects should be able to easily, scalability should be always there, that you are able to understand and then respond in terms of your design. Yeah, I think I've answered it probably.
So that was the last question for the day. Thank you so much for your giving your precious time. It was a pleasure to have you here, and don't forget to sign up on the Fublis website.